Lane Kiffin addresses the Bryan Harsin job situation. What kind of, actually, in this week's press conference edition, extra edition of the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. Stick around.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome to this extra press conference edition of the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. Lane Kiffin kind of flew solo today. It's a bye week, by the way. What's going on? In his press conference, he addressed everything from the Bryan Harsin job situation, mainly from the families and affecting lots of people angle, to Zach Evans and his workload moving forward, to Quinshon Judkins, to Texas A&M faking injuries, to Jimbo Fisher's mindset. All of this came out during this bye-week edition of the press conference. You know, without further ado, we're just probably going to get into it. But before we do, I do want to let you know about this. BetOnline is your number one source for betting football and the start of basketball season. Find out all the latest player developments, team matchups, news podcasts, and in-depth analysis on every game. And as always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all of your sports wagering information with live betting and up-to-the-minute scores for every sport out there. It's the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite games and events, including MLB, MMA, boxing, and golf, maybe even some MLS action. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, it is where the game starts. All right, without further ado, let's get into it. This is Lane Kiffin addressing the media in his press conference today. See you tomorrow.
All right, so, really excited that we got a road win and a hard place to play, and really good timing for a bye. Sometimes they come at bad timing when you don't necessarily need them as much, but we're playing with a lot of injured players, that this will be very significant, and hopefully will help if we can get them back, help us all over, but especially defensively. So I thought that, like I tell the players, you want things to go perfect, but when they don't, other good things happen. Like I told them right after the game, I wish we would have closed it out on offense twice when we had the ball, and made some first downs and ran the clock out. But we didn't, and it put our defense in a situation there to have to win the game for us, which they did. So that was great to see, and a very significant special teams play in a 60-yard punt that was able to milk some time off too that they didn't field. So very pleased. We got a lot of work to do, a lot of improvement to do, but to be 8-1 at the bye, if you would have said at the beginning of the year with so many brand new players and the quarterback question, and obviously you'd love to be 9-0, but we lost a lot of people from last year, and there are a lot of questions coming in here with all the portal guys and how would they fit and all that. So again, we got a lot of work to do to improve, but record-wise, that's pretty good considering those things. Well, any open date, you still wanted to get some work done. Maybe new schemes or things, but especially players that haven't played as much. It's so late in the season, so there's more about getting guys healthy. There's more people that you got to do that, where if it's earlier in the year, you don't as much, and so there'll be a lot of players very, not in practice and in training room and trying to get back because, and kind of like our common theme, unfortunately, every year, we're not rotating a lot on offense, especially in the skill or line, but especially skill, which has resulted in some huge play counts, 82 or something for Mingo, I think, the other day. So there's a lot of guys that need to get their bodies back. Yeah, I think 10-2 regular, so 18-3 in regular season games over 2 years, that they've been at a lot of them. They see them on TV. That's a lot of wins and success, and that it usually winning impacts recruiting, at least it used to a lot. So I think that we've had very good reception from guys that are interested in coming into a program that, is winning and having a lot of fun doing that. And hopefully they overlook some other things. That was unusual. I've coached for a few years and, always shake hands with the head coach before the game, like I was taught, but I stood out there for a while and, he never came over, so I don't really know what the issue is. The media guys were there doing the game, so they said, don't feel bad. He blew them off, like the day before or something like that for their meeting. So it is what it is. So can't control other people. Yeah, we were in meetings, so I actually didn't know that. So, that's never, when you've been through something like that, you obviously have empathy for people, and it is what it is, a profession. I'm not complaining because the profession gets paid a lot of money and it's part of it. But, when everybody roots for everybody to get fired and, it's so great and everything, it's not that person. It's a ton of people besides his family and, a lot, especially because the staffs have increased now where kids are uprooted from schools and all those things. So I understand why fans root for it. I get it all, but there's a very personal side to it. A lot of adults, kids that when something like that happens are going to be affected. No. So when you play well and you win games and statistics are really well in an area like running, those are going to happen. But Q, like I said, that was pretty cool on his 19th birthday. To have 34 carries, which our staff was all complaining about all the injuries, by them. But they had 9 defensive injuries that stopped the clock, that they stayed down for a very long time, as we all saw. It's not like they jumped right up. So obviously that's usually frustrating for us as a tempo, especially when 8 of the 9 return, a number of them the next play after sitting out of play. So I said, hey guys, let's look at the positive, what they did, and let Q rest, so every time they had those injury timeouts, Q got to rest and was able to carry the ball 34 times. So I know it got some play about, messing around with their DB and stuff, but, that's the game's emotional. I was having fun with him because he was another one of the amazing stories where he'd been out the play before and, play was over and all of a sudden he looks at the sidelines and he went down and then he's back the next play. So I'd been joking with him for a little bit there. But I have fun with that. Those kids like him, have alpha personalities, 5-star, and, we communicated after and laughed about it. So, yeah, I think this week off would be huge for Zach. I think a lot of that was adrenaline-based, where he was able to do that and didn't have a knee brace on, and then he felt it, and then came out, put a knee brace back on, and, obviously he had the one run where he would have always scored on that, where he fell down. So you can tell he's not fully healthy, but he pushed through and, made some big plays. And I think that sideline run, running the guy over, which we just showed to the team, was a lot for our sideline on a road game. And also, as we've mentioned with him before, there were some early in the year that weren't like that. And then, that Vanderbilt, he seemed to change. We'll start as soon as we leave here. We just met with the players, let them go, so we'll start on that ourselves with Alabama and work on it all week. I'd never do with the team, never have. Recruits, you deal with that all the time. I would guess any time that you've probably taken jobs, and haven't been at one place forever, I bet every coach gets that. So I get that all the time from recruits. That's just part of it, and recruiting's competitive, and that gets used against us, and so we've been dealing with that for a long time, so it would be nothing new.